Hi there, my name is Jeffrey Venture, and this is my D&Dify It series. In this series, I take your favorite TV shows, movies, and other popular media and turn them into Dungeons & Dragons adventures. The usual quick note before we get started, D&Dify It videos are not just for game masters, since we dig into the fun stuff without giving away all the twists for you players. So feel free to stick around if you want to play a tentacle ghost boy character and leave running the baddies you want to beat up to your game masters. I've got a lot more info on everything I do on this channel that I used to clutter into the intro and outro of these videos that is now in my channel video, which you should be seeing linked as an annotation if you're watching this on YouTube, and that you should check out if you want to keep up with the D&DZ stuff I do online. So with all that out of the way, let's jump right in and D&Dify the Umbrella Academy. Standard disclaimer, spoilers for the Umbrella Academy show, seasons 1 and 2 ahead. We are going to be talking about the powers that our Umbrella academics possess, how time travel works in the show, and it's practically inevitable that we'll be talking about the Temps Commission in establishing our antagonists. You've been warned, so let's dig right into the men-adventure ideas. The comic book turned TV show, The Umbrella Academy, was created and written by one Gerard Way, who I'm personally so happy to see again in my adult life after he and the crew of My Chemical Romance created so much of the soundtrack to my teenage angst. The Umbrella Academy is an awesome show on its own without considering the adventure-building ammunition it throws our way in the form of time-traveling shenanigans, complex and mysterious antagonists, and of course our titular cast of grown-up kid superheroes now dealing with the fallout of extraordinarily strange childhoods and their place in a series of literally cataclysmic events. So I started brainstorming adventures for this video and just never really stopped. Seriously, I started writing them down and ended up with 12 of them. For all our sakes, I melted them down into just 4 major premises from which we can extrapolate a ton of additional adventures with small tweaks. Number 1, superpowered kiddos. You are the young Umbrella Academy, bite-sized superheroes sent on a dangerous mission like the one that got Ben killed. Fun and deadly. Oh boy. Number 2, oh no, the space-time continuum is in trouble. You are on a mission from, as, or with 5 to go back in time and preserve or change a major event in history. Number 3, gah, the Temps Commission is coming. You already did some time traveling, and that pissed off the Temps Commission, who is coming to kill you and or stop you in your efforts to preserve or change the timeline. Number 4, attack of the numbers. You are attacked by, or sent to neutralize, one or more of the other 43 mysteriously born kids who has manifested crazy powers and is doing bad stuff with them. So with any of these adventures, you can be kids or adults, change up the bad guys, or decide on whatever crazy superpowers you want for your antagonists to really make this adventure your own. And where I would usually pick an adventure to run with in this section, I'm going to let those ideas simmer for a little bit and come back to them later. Right now, we're going to talk about building your Umbrella academics by jumping into player characters. As you may have guessed, 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons isn't readily equipped for making characters with unique combinations of or standalone superpowers that we see in our Umbrella academics. While there are superhero systems like City of Mist that might do a better job of this, we are here to D&Dify, so we're going to take a stab at it with 5th edition. And I think the best place to start is with the examples we are given, so I'm going to go down the list and roughly build each of our 7 original students, plus Lila because she's super quick, at level 3, and even more roughly try to balance them in correlation to each other as we go. So, top of the list, we've got number 1, Luther. Super strength, that's easy. Jack his strength up 20, have him go barbarian or maybe fighter, and consider giving him a bonus to unarmed attack and maybe improvised weapons. Done. Who's next? Number 2, Diego. Controls the direction of projectiles. Well, he's obviously a rogue with a 20 in dexterity, but I think he's also an arcane trickster, ditching all the spell casting except for a really cool and perhaps enhanced Mage Hand Ledgermane. That's the one that makes your Mage Hand invisible if you needed the reminder. The first of a few things that we might need to homebrew a little bit, you could give the Mage Hand some power over your throwing daggers as they fly, granting advantage or at least a bonus to hit, and then maybe give it a reaction similar to deflect missiles from the monk. Number 3, Allison. I heard a rumor. I think she needs just one higher level spell to make her build actually. Dominate Person. Obviously a 5th level spell for a 3rd level character, but the spell gives her total control over her target's actions, even allowing her to get past the pesky language about not forcing someone to stab themselves or throw themselves off a cliff like we get with Suggestion and other lower level enchantment spells. So we make her a sorcerer, and now, hear me out, we give her unlimited uses of Dominate Person. To balance that huge power boost, we give her no other spells, no subclass, no class features, basically just the hit points and skills, and set her spell save DC appropriately high. With that build, she's going to be a bit of a one-trick pony and actually the first of a few in this exercise, but I'm sure you can imagine how insanely useful that one spell can be for her. Number 4, Klaus, interaction with the dead. How do we, oh, I got it. Summon undead spirit. Like with Allison, we're going to make Klaus a one-trick pony with this one spell that, rather obviously, summons an undead spirit which can appear ghostly, but we can go ahead and upcast it at 5th level to make it beefy, and maybe give the ghostly spirit a powerful tentacle attack, probably modeling it after Arms of Hadar. I'll tell you right now that kind of gives away Ben's build, but we're a bit limited with Klaus because the rest of his powers are not really combat-oriented. Floaty thing with Ben holding him up, talking to Dad, and getting possessed by Ben. Not exactly useful in a fight, so not really a consideration for this particular building exercise. Number 5. Is there an echo in here? Spatial jumps and time travel. So spatial jumps, which I think are actually pretty easily modeled with the spell Misty Step. We slap unlimited uses of Misty Step on a level 3 gunslinger because we know from his time in the Temps Commission that he's a pretty darn good marksman. Take away the fighter armor proficiency and we've got ourselves a 5. Okay, fine, I know we have to talk about the time travel. I just think it's so not a good idea to include it as a power and not just a plot device when we're talking about building a self-contained one-shot adventure. Trust me, that's one heck of a wild card you're throwing in there and could really derail your game if you are loose on the constraints of the ability. So if you must include it, I would recommend using it as something like an action surge where you can jump back 6 seconds and get another turn out of it, but that's it. I would recommend you consider the use of time travel very carefully beyond that very limited scope. Number 6, Ben, extra dimensional tentacles. Yeah, we talked about this already with Klaus, but if you're going to run a young or alternate reality Ben where he's still alive, you might want to jack up the range of Arms of Hadar spell and have it upcast at level 5, then build the rest of the character without a lot of class features like we did with Allison and Klaus. Finally, number 7, Vanya, and oh boy, what are we gonna do with you, Vanya? Need I remind you that she blew up the f***ing moon? We're gonna have to bring her powers down quite a few pegs to match her other academics. Luckily, statting her out at a reasonable power level is actually pretty straightforward with one simple 5th level spell, Telekinesis. I know she does her stuff with the power of sound, but I think we can really just chalk that up to flavor for the spell. She's going to be a lot like Allison, Klaus, and Ben as well with just one unlimited use spell, but as anyone who has used telekinesis in play before should know, you can do plenty with it. And Lila, just copy everyone else, but maybe one at a time. Anything more than that seems a little OP. So there's our academics all statted out, and I think that should be a good launching off point for my fellow contrarians who are going to want to pick a new superpower from their favorite X-Men or Mystery Man character to make an original Umbrella man or woman. We've let it simmer long enough, so let's pick one and run with it for structuring our adventure. So for a recap, we've got superpowered kiddos, space-time continuum trouble, Temps Commission trouble, and Attack of the Numbers as our candidate adventures. And I think we're going to do the superpowered kiddos one. Let's stop a bank robbery, kids! As always, if you got a better idea, go with that, and hopefully the player characters section gave you some good stuff to get you going. If you'll remember, we actually got a very brief look at a bank robbery mission by the Young Umbrella Academy, and I figured it'd be fun to fill in the gaps and probably tweak a couple of things to make our own adventure. We'll start by getting called to the scene of the crime, or showing up after listening to a police scanner or something. That's more narrative, don't worry about it too much, and the first step will be infiltrating the bank without getting detected. This will be another adventure where having a detailed building map to explore will be super important, and I would definitely recommend looking at a real-world bank floor plan or one of the many D&D bank heist battle maps. Google that exact search term. Post it online to get you thinking about how you fill up your bank with baddies, traps, and hostages. We'll want to find the hostages, beat up the baddies in the lobby, and disarm the bomb rigged to blow the whole joint, of course, but let us do it in the order we want and in the way we want. Then trigger the tripwire claymores and or shoot at us a bunch when we inevitably fuck it up. All this should culminate in finding the boss baddie in the underground vault for our big final battle, and whether you want us to have a shootout in the basement or an epic chase scene where the baddie drills out and tries escaping in an armored truck is up to you. Alright, let's put a bow on it by talking a little bit about how we fill this bank up with monsters and challenges. That's just the name of this section. This adventure won't have monsters. I mean, the real monster is Ben, right? Jesus, that kid must have seemed practically nightmarish to those bank robbers in the show. Anyway, we're going to want to have our baddies have a little health and a lot of firepower to challenge our players, and unsurprisingly, there aren't a lot of gunslinger NPC stat blocks to model our baddies after. So let's start with the scout and or spy stats for our run-of-the-mill baddies, making them 1 or 2 shot targets for most of our players. We replace their bows with guns and maybe even replace their swords with taser sticks that deal lightning damage. But of course, we gotta jack up that gun damage because 1d6 or 1d8 plus 2, even with spy sneak attack, just ain't gonna cut it. Gun should hurt real bad in this setting, and with 3rd level characters, I'm thinking 2d10 plus 2? Yeah, that should be dangerous enough. Of course, a good DM warns their players when there's a high level of danger, so as long as we know that and are using our powers to outsmart and outmaneuver these robbers, we should be able to avoid getting shot at a bunch in reckless full charge firefights. Our big baddie should be just a little bit more difficult, but unless they're also super somehow, they're still human, so pick your stat block accordingly. Maybe a veteran, bandit captain, or assassin from the monster manual. I'm thinking a better gun might be overkill, but I figure a dope suit of Kevlar can justify a high armor class and a decent health pool, making the epic final fight last a little longer. As for other challenges, challenges, I think there's a few traps that the robbers could have set up ahead of our players arriving that could injure them or alert the baddies to their presence. Tripwires and motion sensors can activate explosives, stationary gun turrets, alarms, and more, and there can be a variety of other hazards created by either the baddies or the bank's own defenses operating normally or wildly malfunctioning that can challenge us as we navigate the building. Our super kids are super set, our building is full of baddies, so let's go ahead and pitch the adventure prompt. I usually include a dramatically written adventure prompt with the adventure handout that I give to my one-shot players. This includes things like character starting level, a gold allowance for weapons and armor and such, a magic item allowance if it makes sense for the adventure, which it definitely doesn't in this case, and a couple of other parameters for character creation, which may just include pointing players to this video. Character creation is probably going to include a bit of coordination to make sure everyone is equally powerful with this one, since we're going a little off the reservation with how we're making most of these characters. You should know that some of these builds are possibly going to be a bit swingy as well, like if all of your enemies just keep succeeding on their saves against Allison, but hopefully you can all arrive at some fun thematic characters for your Umbrella Academy adventure. Alright, so here's the adventure prompt I would give my players for this one-shot adventure. You are a band of adventurers. Supernaturally gifted individuals born with incredible abilities that, among other things, allow you to teleport, bend the wills of your opponents, and summon giant thrashing tentacles to attack your foes. You were taken in by one Sir Reginald Hargreaves, who raised you and trained you and now puts you to service as young superheroes, thwarting nefarious plots wherever they can be found. You have received word of a high-profile bank heist in progress at this very moment and are rushing to the scene to lend your aid. You know there are hostages, explosives, and firepower, the likes of which is overwhelming local police, and you are ready to meet the call to action to stop these robbers before any more innocents get hurt. Get in there and save the day as a bite-sized superhero in this one-shot based on the Umbrella Academy. That's the end of the adventure prompt. I end up saying this about almost all of the adventures I put out on this channel, but man, do I want to play this game now, and my hope is that you do too. So send this to your game master, tell me what you think about running or playing a game like this in the comment section down below, and as always, pretty please send me pictures and stories if you end up running this at your own table. I'm a new creator here on YouTube, and that means every like and comment helps get these videos out to an even broader audience, so if you feel I've earned it, a quick like and a comment asking me how I would stat the Umbrella Academic you had in mind would be super appreciated. This is the first video after a little hiatus, so you can find me on Twitter and Instagram sharing memes and homebrew content again. There, I'd also like to hear what else you would have liked to hear me talk about in this video. I'm not just on YouTube anymore, but if that is where you're watching, a subscribe is also super appreciated, and you can hit that bell icon to get notifications for these videos. Please do the other things on the other channels, Instagram for sure, probably Facebook, maybe Twitter, we shall see. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Happy adventuring.